This meeting is being recorded.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here in our conversations or webinars, when I call it, why organizations need a PMO. First, I'm going to introduce our invited guest today, Michelle Baker. Let me tell you a little bit about Michelle. So Michelle Baker, she has an MBA. She has the certification as a program management from PGMP, the PMP. She has managed projects and programs in the IT management consulting industry and supporting Fortune 500 clients in the automotive, healthcare, technologies, business management, utility, compliance, regulatory, advertising marketplaces. And she's passionate about managing timelines and deliverables for IT and business programs, also driving team cohesions amidst high-level stakeholders and accepting project team members. What is next for Michelle? Continue the project management profession through the mentoring of younger practitioners who are coming behind her as well as sitting at the feet of those executive mentors who have come before her, always lifting as she climbs and she all of those she is striving towards. Michelle, she's a very seasoned speaker, and she had a talk in the 2020 PMO Impact Speaker Series. She had talked in the 2020 Project Management Institute Great Lakes Chapters PMI Symposium, and the 2021 the dinner meetings, the PMI, 2022 Project Management Institute, also in the symposium for the Great Lakes Chapter PMI Symposium over there, and 2023 Great Lakes Chapter Symposium Director. She also is a member of the Toastmasters Plus. I remember I belong to the Toastmasters in Texas. It's a great organization. And so she is a very experienced speaker. Also, some other activity that Michelle is involved in, volunteering and participating in different organizations. For example, the National Black MBA Association in Detroit chapter. She's a leader in that chapter. Also a teacher for Lawrence Technological University. And so she also teach, and you were part of this organization also. So with that being said, I gonna start the meeting. So today, we're gonna talk about why organizations need a PMO. With all the experience that Michelle has in different industries, so that's gonna be very exciting to hear from her about that experience. But before we get started, I'm gonna share my screen. I wanna share a video with you to set the conversation. Hold on a second. So the video that I'm gonna share with you is about the business challenges organizations are facing today.
The 7 biggest business challenges every company is facing in 2023. As a futurist, I look far ahead, but I also look at the next year and highlight the most important trends and challenges we need to look at. So here are my top 7 for 2023. Inflation and economic downturn. Inflation will continue to be high. Many economies will stagnate or shrink, and businesses need to prepare for this. Now it's the time for companies to establish end-to-end visibility of spending across their business and supply chains. Supply chain security. Supply chain security is another key issue. We have seen COVID-related backlogs, then came Russia's invasion of Ukraine and a massive labor shortage due to the Great Resignation. This has made parts and products harder to obtain, as well as pushed prices up for things like energy, grains, computer chips, oil, and so on. According to a report by Accenture, supply chain issues could result in a potential 920 billion euro cumulative loss to GDP across the Eurozone by 2023. Companies should resist the urge of over-ordering to compensate for backlogs, which could worsen the situation. Instead, focus on long-term recovery and restructure your needs to prevent similar shortages in the future. Increasing expectations for more immersive customer experiences. Customers are demanding more immersive customer experiences in the real world as well as the metaverse. Customers entering brick-and-mortar stores aren't just looking to buy products, they want memorable in-store experiences. And online retailers should consider adding extended reality experiences, such as virtual dressing rooms that allow customers to try on clothing, accessories, and makeup without leaving their homes. No matter how you engage with consumers, online, offline, or a mix of both, ask yourself, how can we add even more value to our customers by turning this interaction into an experience? Accelerated digital transformation. Artificial intelligence is already starting to augment all our businesses, and that trend will continue to accelerate in 2023. At the same time, other technologies like 5G, blockchain, the metaverse, cloud, the Internet of Things are developing and speeding up AI, and they're all enhancing each other. This is rapidly creating a world of ever faster technological development. In response, every business must think of itself as a tech business. Companies need to redesign their processes and ensure their people have the skills needed for a world where we increasingly collaborate with and work alongside intelligent machines. The war for talent will intensify. Companies in 2023 must be ready to cope with the continuous talent shock. We've been hearing about the war for talent for years, but it feels like this war is really intensifying and heating up in 2023. Companies across industries are facing massive gaps for vital future skills, and they need to reskill and upskill massive sectors of their workforce to get ready for the fourth industrial revolution. Companies can and should take on the responsibility for training talent by taking steps like hiring people straight out of school and instilling cultures of continuous learning. On top of that, the pandemic has made many people re-evaluate their jobs, leading to mass resignations in many sectors. So to attract top talent, employers must also offer working environments that are appropriate for this new world of work, including job flexibility, authentic leadership, and a culture that values diversity. Data and device security. Cyber attacks are on the rise, and ransomware is now a common occurrence. As businesses become more digital, they accumulate more data, which becomes highly attractive to cyber criminals that intend to steal it and hold organizations hostage to financial demands. Mobile and IoT devices are not immune to cybersecurity threats. Additionally, quantum computing is now emerging, which could render existing security systems obsolete. So companies can take steps to protect themselves by taking proactive measures like evaluating their data backup and recovery processes, conducting penetration testing and vulnerability scanning, creating a cyber threat aware culture, and taking proactive steps to protect sensitive data and protect themselves from cyber attacks. Sustainability. Climate change is the world's largest business challenge. and consumers are demanding transparency in sustainability practices, as well as more eco-friendly products and services. Companies can respond by viewing the whole picture of their business practices and auditing their full supply chains. They should also consider switching to renewable energy, moving to more sustainable packaging, and allowing people to work remotely where appropriate. Becoming demonstrably more sustainable can not only satisfy consumers' needs, but also help you spot inefficiencies and deliver savings that have a positive effect on your bottom line. To understand these new and emerging trends in more detail, subscribe to my channel.
Okay, thank you for listening. That's the start of the conversation. So PMO, we know that we need to support the business. We need to add value. So these are all the challenges that we are facing in 2023, but I believe it's not only in 2023, it's on the next decade to come. So with that being said, I'm going to have my first question to Michelle, and she's going to elaborate on that one. So let's see the first, sorry.
Okay. Would you like me to read the question?
Hold on a second, let me see.
Yeah, those were done so I could, read and understand my response versus the question. So sorry about the different coloring.
Okay, so that's the first question that I have for you, Michelle. Why do organizations typically establish a PMO? What are the primary drivers behind its implementation?
Okay, sure thing. So I wanted to mention it's typical for organizations to establish PMOs to align the projects together, as well as the project managers that execute them, to have common standards and practice driving execution. So for me, in my view, it's all about it's all about governance. The reason that organizations typically establish PMOs.
So one question in that regard, so why is that important for organization? So you saw the video, they have too many challenges, all the leaders in organization, they have too many challenges. So how PMO fit into these scenarios organizations are living today?
Okay, sure thing. It's really to drive the business value, because if it's not driving value per the video to address some of these challenges that the organization and the leaders are receiving or part of, then it's not really worth it. So it's got to have some type of to drive value. And I will know, should know in my experience, most organizations drive their business in projects, like small projects, maybe, multi-year projects, as we've seen in our waterfall strategies over the years. And now things are becoming more agile, especially in software development, healthcare companies, food packaging companies. And so, but the businesses driving their business in order to achieve their goals and bottom line in projects. So that's why PMOs are essential in my view.
Okay. So let's move to another question. In your experience, what challenges or pain points do organizations face that lead them to consider setting up a PMO?
Okay, so in my experience, organizations may believe that they don't add value, as I mentioned, in the last example, or there's just simply overhead, just overhead costs, that can be cut. This is why the PMO leaders must coordinate with their IT or business areas to support and develop their KPIs, because if they're not driving their key performance indicators and driving business value, it's not really worth it to them. And so that might be some of the pain points that they see and why they might not want to consider setting up a PMO, because they might think, oh, it's just something else that we can just, get rid of to cut costs. But they must see it as value add to continue it to, have it in the organization.
So in your experience in PMO that you had led, the need to establish the PMO came from the top leadership organization or from, let's say, the tactical level organization, where the need came from?
Okay, I've seen it happen in both. And sometimes it's from the tactical level where it's, hey, the business leader or the IT leader or the PMO leader, we need to drive the value, we need to drive our execution of projects in this level. And it's driven up through the organization as something that should be done. And I've also seen it going top down, where the CEOs or the COOs are saying, this is something that we want to have delivered. We want our projects to be delivered in this format. We understand that there's a centralized method of doing it, and we'd like you to move forward in doing it. So I have seen it in both levels, both processes, I should say.
Okay. For the audience that are here, if you want to ask questions or ask for clarification or contribute to the discussion, so you are more than welcome to do it in the chat. So I check the questions and Michelle and I can answer. Okay, so this is another question for you, Michelle. How does a PMO contribute to improving project success rates within an organization?
Okay, sure. So the sustainability that a PMO sets typically will set the standard to assist providing a governance model for the PMs to work within. That way, each PM would drive towards the project success rates. So by each of these PMs doing so, that would drive the rate of improving overall. I've seen a dashboard of we have to get to 100% of X. And right now we're at 4 or 10. And every week, the PMs are looking at the rate that the percentage rates are going up. And so they know their work is going, it's improving. And although I was in an organization where that was the example when I started, it was at 4. We have to get to this completion rate. And then by the time I left the organization, it was like at 77. So, and that was over 6 years. And it was the same kind of project. We just kept going and going because we had to reach that 100% completion rate. And so for me and many of my my fellow project managers, that was something that we took pride in, saying, okay, we're getting there. This is a success, value, and we're making a difference. So that's one way that I've seen.
For me, talking to many leaders around the world in the PMO space, project management space. So one of the challenge that PMO leaders face is to have the opportunity to discuss with the business leaders or the senior leadership what gonna be my value proposition for the organization. Because, for example, a successful project, every project manager should be responsible for the success of the project. So why do we need somebody behind our back to guide us through the process. So my project gonna be successful. So what kind of conversation will you have with those senior leaders in organization for them to understand, yes, we need a PMO, we need you, so you're gonna help me to achieve my strategic objectives. So what kind of conversation do you have in the past with senior leadership?
Sure, I would have a conversation to say that, yes, every project manager is or business area is responsible for this, but this is something specific that we are driving towards. And while you're doing your other, like your day work, if you will, your everyday work, this is something that is our everyday work, and we are managing towards this for you. And it's something that we are updating you on, so that way you can, go about the business of running the business or running the IT portion, and you don't have to stay focused on this particular area, because this project may be something that is an offshoot of what's going on in the larger organization, and we would be on point to be able to handle that for you. And that way we can just update you. You don't have to get into the details, the minutia. We just update you when needed. And that will be our value proposition. I do like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, perfect. Some of the things that I talk to people when I facilitating with PMO workshops or project management workshop is is changing the world of project for business. Because when you see in organization, all projects are investment. I was reading a document for a research that was conducted by RIKE, that's an organization that they are in the software development business for project management. And they found that a medium to a large size organization, they have a budget of 10 million for project. So I was in a workshop that I was delivering. So I was asking one of the participants that he's a PMO manager for a bank. So I said, let's say that you need to replace the core banking for your organization. What will be the investment for that? He said, well, it's about 5 to 6 million investment to replace a core banking for a medium-sized kind of bank. So he said, so that's one project. So when you take into consideration the investment, so you will change different things. So it's not that you're managing the project, you are managing the investment for the organization. So what I see, usually organization, they put more money in projects than the operation per se. So the PMO leaders, they manage all the investment. You are like a portfolio manager of all the investment for the organization, and you need to know where you're gonna place the money to maximize the return on investment. So let me see, I think somebody has a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question from...
Would you like me to read it?
Yeah. So he said, what would be your advice for someone who wants to enter the career of PMO deployment consultant?
Okay.
What would you ask to someone that want to be in this space?
Okay, so you want to enter the career of PMO deployment consultant. So I would say you want to research what that is. Starting with the PMI is the Project Management Institute is a good place. It's a worldwide organization, and also partnering with somebody who is already in the field, I think would be great to understand what they do on a regular basis. So that's a great question, and we'll be definitely, welcome to hear any anybody who would like to network with me. That would be great. because that's actually how I got my start. I really worked underneath another project manager who already had her PMP, and I really studied her. I was a project coordinator, so it's like a junior project manager, and that's how I got my start. So I think that's always a good thing, understanding both the organization that you're going under and partnering with somebody who's already in the field.
Yeah, another comment in that sense. So PMI, they have, for example, for people that want to take the PMP exam. So now the exam comprises 3 domains. So one of the domains is business acumen. The other domain is understanding the way of working. And the processes. But if you want to be in, so you need to decide in what industry you want to be good, because the PMO leader, if you want to be a consultant, so you need to understand the pain points. For that reason was the video that I was showing at the beginning. So you need to understand the business. What are the pain points and how you're going to help the business using project management as the weapon to tackle those pain points. So first, business acumen is extremely important for a project management professional to understand, because we, as I mentioned, we manage businesses or corporations. So that's a good start. So understand what industry you want to be, and then be good at that, understanding that industry. And then how you're going to use project management to help those organizations. Okay, so I have another questions here. And the question is, Michelle, how does PMO contribute? So, so we already did that one. So this is the next one. So what are the key benefits that organizations can expect to gain from having a well-functioning PMO?
Okay, so I thought a lot about this one. Also, in my view, the benefit would be to allow the consistency in the format, the execution, direction over the overall projects, especially if those projects have a combined end user format and represent a benefit of their own. An example of this would be if they all represented a same vehicle platform. A lot of my experience has been in the automotive space. This would be represented as program management. So if the well-functioning PMO can drive execution and consistency among all of the projects in that PMO. A lot of my experience started out as project management and then kind of grew into program management. So projects, of course, we all know is a temporary endeavor. It has a end time, beginning time, end time, and a cost. And then a program is a program is made up of a lot of projects that are working towards the same benefit. So I feel that the well-functioning PMO, in this case, could represent projects or programs, especially since they're talking about benefits. And then also the benefits would, serve as that value proposition to the organization, because if the organization does not see it as a value add, it's just, something they can just toss away. But in order for it to be something that's valuable, there has to be a benefit for the organization.
Yeah, perfect. One thing is about PMO leaders, and that's something that I always preach. People that want to be a PMO leader or are in the PMO leadership position is, I think your goal in the organization is to create a culture of project management. If you can achieve that, so everything else is gonna be easy for you. So every time that someone in the leadership in your organization have a conversation about the aspiration, the mission, where they want to take the organization to the next level. If they include you in those conversations, so you are in good shape. So one thing that I said, if they having those conversations and you are not included, so I would say that you need to look for another job.
Good point.
See, if they don't include you in those strategic decisions or those strategic how the organization, they're gonna take the organization from point A to point B, you are not included. So Houston, we got a problem.
Okay. Absolutely.
So everything else, when you have that control of the stakeholders, you are friend, everybody happy with you, so they know. So we're thinking about launch a rocket to the moon. So PMO leader, come to me. Let's talk about it. How can we achieve that? So PMI said, for project managers are the change makers. Imagine the project managers are the change makers. The house of the project manager, what it is. So we are also the change makers. We are the dream makers. All the senior leadership, they are thinking about where they're gonna be in 5 years, 10 years, what gonna be the next things important for the organization. So the PMO said, yeah, I'm gonna make you dreams come true. I am a change maker, I am a dream maker. So when we got that connection with all the stakeholders at that level, so we're gonna have job until we get retired in that organization. If we don't have that, so we need to start looking somewhere else.
That's a great point.
Any comments? I see a lot of people with a lot of experience here. So I had the blessing of interact with Ethan. I know that he's a seasoned PMO leader and project management leader. So any comment or anything? So they use this forum to learn from each other here. You want to say something, Ethan?
Yeah, I mean, I've experienced a lot of what you guys have been talking about. I'm actually in the middle of building a brand new PMO, which I started in January, a new organization. So a lot of the things you talked about today, trying to show that value, trying to partner with IT and other business organizations, developing KPIs and and it's hard because with I feel like with project management, it's kind of hard to sometimes also measure value when people are asking to see that value from PMO. A lot of times, some of the best value is when projects go right. When projects fail, right? That's where people ask for project management. Oftentimes, you can have IT projects that fail or other projects that can really hurt organizations, put them in, or even bankrupt some organizations. So that really gets people's attention. But when things are going well, things are a lot more quieter on that end. We're meeting our business goals and objectives. You're aligning those projects with all those. So one of the best ways I've measured the value, and I've been able to kind of convey this to other leaders as I'm trying to grow my team and get the right funding, is how more and more leaders are and people are coming to me asking for PMO support, right? Any opportunity I have to help with projects. So I'm kind of in this dual role, right? I'm this PMO director trying to build up this, with governance and all these process and everything on the PMO side, but I'm also acting as a project manager. And so every interaction I have with people is an opportunity to show value, to show how I can support them, how PMO can support them, and what professional project management is going to do for them and supporting them, getting to their achieving their business goals and objectives. And so more and more, little by little, being asked for PMO support. And that I think is probably the best way to show that PMO is really having a positive impact in an organization.
Exactly. So you are doing the right things. So the PMO is a service-oriented organization, and we need to offer services every time you are doing. So every time that you have opportunity to show the value, is the way that you need to do it. Some of the things that I received like a couple of tests in LinkedIn that people asking me, so what I can do with people says PMO director, they lost their job. And they were asking me about us. But I think if we go into the comfort zone that we already established the PMO, all the processes are running smoothly, like you were saying, Ethan. There will be some time that the senior leadership, because the PMO costs money, there's some expenses that they need to put there. So the thing is, if we go into the comfort zone, so the organization that we see, you are not adding value. So we need to embrace all the agile mindset. So we need to be proactive. We need to be ahead of the game. So maybe because your business is projects, you are in the project business, project economy. So maybe you are the one that need to bring projects, not wait for the functional areas or the business leader to bring project to you. You can suggest. If you have the control of the budget, that even better. So that's another thing that I said. If you can control the budget for all the investment that organization want to do, and you decide this is the best where we can put the money, so that will be the aspiration of PMO. That will be a very mature PMO if they own the budget for all the projects, all the initiatives that the organization want to do. But thank you, Ethan, for your interaction. Very good things there.
Before we move forward, Dr. Prince, I just wanted to mention what Ethan was saying. It sounded like a PMO director that I had in the past, and she always talk about getting sticky. Mm-hmm. And so you get sticky, so you can like provide one service, and you get sticky, and you can go into something else. So just maybe remember that.
Perfect. I think I have some other questions here. What about this one? How does a PMO enhance project governance and ensure that projects are executed in a standardized, consistent manner? And here, talk me about the resistance to change, because sometimes project managers are against the PMO, depending what kind of PMO you have. So tell me a little bit about that. How can you establish governance and everybody happy in doing what the PMO is saying that we should do?
Okay, sure thing. So in my my experience, I've seen status reports, dashboards, and executive one-pagers are some ways that the projects that are executed are shared out to executive leadership in a standardized manner. I have had been in some PMOs where, you know, project manager A does the status report in one way, and project manager B does it another way. They're both status reports. They were going to their, their managers or superiors, but they're in different formats. And so that was something that was, ironed out a little bit, to say, okay, we're going to standardize it so that way everybody's reporting out in the same way. It might change along the way, but at least, we have something that's going forward. And every organization is different. Status reports on Excel or Word or PowerPoint, dashboards and Tableau. Of course, the executive one-pager decks. I've seen a lot over the years, and in the PMO that I created, we had a status report that was in a Excel format that was standardized amongst the PMO, the employees.
Yeah, so here, so what I would suggest, every time that you're implementing something new, so the PMO came up, let's say, with software. So I had experience implementing an enterprise project management software for an organization. So the first things that I did, I became the expert in the software. So I facilitated the training for about 300 people in the organization, project managers and also project contributors. So when you do that, so that connection that people see that you are an expert in the tool that you're implementing, so they are willing to follow the process. So I'm here working through the process with them, also creating some kind of governance that you have champions. So you decide who in the organization will be a good player, and you bring them so they are the training of the trainer. So they spread out the processes or the technology that you want to implement. So the other people, they will accept that easier that when you just, okay, this procedure is take effect September 1st. And then you send a communication to everyone. So in that case, so you're gonna have some resistance to change, and it will be more difficult to standardize that everybody does the same thing over and over. So that's how I would suggest engagement of all the participants, all the clients, because everyone, all project managers are your clients, all the business leaders are your clients. So you need to engage everyone in that process. And why this process? Because I work for an organization, big organization, global organization, and they have an enterprise project management office. And they was doing like the definition that we have for controlling PMO is only check. So everybody following, so everybody have to do a kickoff meeting. Did you do a kickoff meeting? And that was like an auditing. So all the project manager hates or hated the PMO. So thank you, Michelle, for.
You're welcome.
So let me go into another one. For organizations, this is a good one. For organizations that are skeptical about establishing a PMO, what arguments or evidence can you provide to convince them of its value and importance? So let's say, so the audience, they want to implement, so they're starting the process of implementing a PMO. So they're gonna have that kind of resistance. So how they need, or what they need to do in order to accomplish that goal of establishing the PMO for that organization.
Okay, sure. So my recommendation for this one would be to work with a consultant for PMO assessment, or to even take one, for a smaller organization to find a PMO assessment that you might be able to find online. But for a professional organization, you would want to consult with a PMO consultant to engage your organization's readiness. So perhaps maybe the organization is not quite ready for a PMO. They think they are, but maybe there's some pushback and they want to understand, well, let's first start with the assessment. So we all know, before we move forward with anything, we must document and assess the needs. So you want to start there. I have done some PMO assessments along the way in my career, and they've been great, to understand the organization's readiness. However, if the organization knows that you have projects that are uncontrolled or, just kind of all over the place, if you will, your organization would likely benefit from a PMO to kind of establish that governance to get your projects aligned with your KPIs, because of course we want to be sure that we're aligning to the organization's needs and the KPIs for the value add, for the I forgot what you said, Dr. Prenza, but you essentially, we want to be sure you're a value add. So we want to stick to the KPIs, value proposition. That's the term I was thinking of. Yes, we want to give towards the value proposition and be aligned with the KPIs. So that would be my example for this question.
Yeah. Well, so we arrived to the end of the presentation at 45 minutes. So I would like to end the presentation. First, thank you, Michelle, for taking the time to talk to us about your experience. But I also want to hear from you your last thought about why organizations need a PMO. And what leaders they need to do in order to accomplish that objective. So,
Okay, sure.
final thoughts.
So final thoughts, and thank you for having me, Dr. Prince. I really have enjoyed working with you and hope to continue working with you going forward. But as a project manager, a program manager, I am, kind of, how would you say, I'm kind of prone just to say, I'm biased to say, yes, you need a PMO. You really need to think about how you like your business to run and to add value to your organization. And you need to, just like you have a professional to do your accounting and finance, you have a HR unit, you have, I don't know, tax, you have everything, marketing. You also need project management if you are going to run your business in projects and you want those projects to contribute to your bottom line. That's my final thought. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for attending to this webinar. I hope that we answered some of the questions that you may have. You can connect with us in LinkedIn, or we might happy to any question that you may have.
Yes.
So I have, so I'm gonna respond to you after we end the meeting. There's some noise there.
Okay, so you were saying that there were a recording. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
No, so I have some questions. So I would say the audience, if they want to connect with us, so we are active in LinkedIn, so send us your questions and we'll be more than happy to facilitate anything that you may need.
Perfect.
Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Prinza. That was really good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. So we talk later.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.